don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
My first question comes from Renee, and Renee is writing from Atlanta. She says, Betsy, I promised to fix the curtains in this room, but first another issue somehow snuck up on us. Where would you shop for a twin bed that will last until this guy is 18? And Renee, I just love this picture. It's probably a little boy, I don't even know, maybe he's a year old, climbing out of his crib. The curtains don't look too horrible, but they're a little bit masked. And I would put curtains on both windows, Renee, not just the one. But he's obviously ready for his twin bed because he's climbing right out of his crib and he looks very mobile. One thing I want to mention, now that I have a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old, both in twin beds, I do know for sure that there are some beds that hold up better than others, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But I personally do not feel that any twin bed is going to be ideal for my children, anyone's children, I don't know, until they're 18. My son is 5'5". He's 10 years old. And already I'm like, we got to get this guy at least a full. My daughter is, 4'10", 9 years old, and she fits just fine. But with all of her stuffies, toys, and when I want to cuddle with her too, it's just getting a little tight. I foresee upgrading both of them to a queen or a full as soon as we have a larger house, because right now the rooms just couldn't take it. But as you guys know, I'm house hunting and looking for something and totally planning on getting rid of the twins and upgrading right away. All that being said, let's talk about a tale of two beds. Okay. So my son, when we moved into our house in Westchester in the suburbs, when we moved from Brooklyn, I upgraded both of my babies to twin beds. And they were sort of babies when we moved here. My son, I bought a bed from Pottery Barn. I think it was Pottery Barn Kids, not Pottery Barn Teen, but I do love both those sites. My daughter, let me tell you more about my son's bed. So it's a navy wooden bed with slats, really cute, very simple. For my daughter, I wanted something upholstered. She's a girly girl, so I wanted maybe that sort of princessy vibe, something soft, especially because she's much more active and rough and tumble than my son. So I really wanted to make sure that she didn't hit her head. And also she was younger, so she was probably going to be tumbling out of bed a little bit more. I wanted something lower to the ground with no box spring. So I went to Wayfair, right? My son's bed has lasted us for 6 years and is amazing. It looks as good as the day we bought it. No creaking, no squeaking, no issues ever. And, even though he's outgrowing it, there would be no other reason to have any qualms about keeping this twin bed frame. My daughter's bed, on the other hand, the slats broke within a year or two from my husband and I both getting in her bed and cuddling her. It just really couldn't withstand that. And then I got her another bed from Wayfair, just as cute, hot pink. It's fine, not great. And then I got her a bunk bed from IKEA. And that held up fine, not great. So then I circled back and got her a day bed so that way she could have a trundle with sleepovers. But if you've been counting, that's 4 beds, 4 affordable, cheap website beds that I've gotten my daughter. And I got my son 1 moderately expensive Pottery Barn Kids bed. And it's lasted the whole time with no issue. Just keep that in mind and take that as a lesson as you're shopping for your son. That, sometimes quality trumps cuteness, style, etc. I've really enjoyed being able to swap out my daughter's bed because I'm a designer and I love having an excuse to buy something new. That being said, it's a chore and gets very expensive not only to purchase a new piece, but also to have it assembled. It's a lot of upheaval to like move a huge piece, the biggest piece in the room, out of the room time and time again. So, in hindsight, I would have done PB Teen or PB Kids for both of them and just, been happy with that until they're 13. But at 13, they're both getting fulls or queens if possible. And I would suggest that you do the same, Renee. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.